What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. With our early 2024 ban list announced and a relatively clear image of what our format could look like, I put together a compilation of 5 different decks to try out for our new format. As of today's video, I'll also begin using the cards from Maze of Millennia, as the set comes out less than 3 weeks after the ban list. But first, if you're a fan of in-depth combo videos, new set coverage, and fun stuff that we occasionally like to do on the channel, then you know what to do with those thumbs up and subscribe buttons. The first deck that we'll be featuring is Speedroids, and this deck got 2 cards back from the recent changes, as we now have 2 copies of Talkatomborg or Terror Top, and we also have 3 copies now of Kashtira Unicorn. So if you're looking for a deck to use the Kashtira cards in, this is a pretty cool one to do so. And we're going to start here by special summoning the Unicorn. We can then use its effect in order to get ourselves the Birth. And another nice thing about this is that these cards really don't conflict, as you can normal summon the Terror Top and get full combo anyways, as we're going to add ourselves the Talkatomborg, special summon it, and then we can use its effect in order to get ourselves the Duke, giving us the ability to play through potential disruptions or hand traps. So from here we'll then link away into our Speedroid link too, as this will give us the ability to banish a Wind Synchro, and then we can use the effect of the link 2 in order to get ourselves the Car and the Piper in the graveyard. Now keep in mind that your opponent picks what goes to the hand and graveyard, and in this particular scenario the Piper will be in the graveyard. We'll be able to revive it with the Duke that's in the graveyard. This will give us the ability to use the Piper on field so that we can excavate and add one, and then we'll be able to go into our Clear Wing, use the effect of the Car Turbo, as we'll then be able to special summon it, go into our Baron, we can then activate the Birth, and with this we can end our board with Baron and the Unicorn. Now I know it doesn't really look like a lot, but if you can tell from the deck list that's on the screen, there's a lot of space for going second cards, and because you're also playing the Kashtira stuff, you also have things like Fenrir that you can play, which is really cool for this deck as well. Now for this second deck, there's 2 different ways to play it. The first one is with Bonfire, a new card coming in Maze of Millennia. It reads, add 1 level 4 or lower Pyro monster from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Bonfire per turn. The point of this is to get your TG Rocket Salamander, as you can also play things like 1-for-1 with it, but the better way to play it, in my opinion, is through the Wanted engine, as you'll also need an extra send from the hand, but the reason being that you can play through hand traps better this way, as you don't get hit by Droll. You also have the ability to get that extra draw off of Wanted when you get the original Sinful Spoils in the graveyard, so that's pretty nice as well, as we're going to then use the effect of the original Sinful Spoils, sending the Diabell Star, get ourselves the TG Rocket Salamander, use the effect of the Rocket Salamander tributing itself to get the Screw Serpent, use the Screw Serpent reviving the Rocket, as we'll then be able to go into the Ib. And the Ib is one of the new cards that we got back from the Limited and Forbidden list. It takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters. It reads, for this card Synchro Summon, you can treat 1 World Chalice normal monster you control as a tuner. You can only use each of the following effects of Ib once per turn. If this card is Synchro Summoned, you can add 1 World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. This is the only important effect that you'll need to know for this video, but its other effect reads, if this card is Synchro Summoned, or if this Synchro Summoned card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 World Chalice monster from your deck or graveyard except Ib. So we're going to use its effect in order to add ourselves the World Legacy Monstrosity, and then we can activate the Runic Quick Play that you have in hand in order to bring out Sleipnir, activate the Monstrosity, and because we need different attributes here, we're going to then special summon out a Generator, which can be any other level 9 that you may want to play, but the more important one here is Gizmek Kaku, as this just reads, if a monster is in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. So say that you happen to hard draw this and not get access into Ib, chances are you will have a Runic Quick Play since you are playing Runic, as you can tell from the deck profile, and you can just go into your rank 9 this way. So the Ib just makes it so that you have that link to access. So we're going to go into our Generator Boss of Shadows, as we can then go into the SP Little Knight, use the effect of the Wanted Quick Play, putting back the original in the graveyard. We'll get a draw. Keep in mind this Runic Tip is just any card at random. Use the effect of the Generator Boss of Shadows at any point during your opponent's turn in order to get the ability to attach cards from their field or graveyard onto your Generator Boss of Eternity, and then you can use this one's effect in order to make both players draw and then attach an extra material onto this card. You also have the SP Little Knight to disrupt your opponent. This third combo features one of the most popular decks that people may want to try following the new ban list, seeing as Heart Pourer is now back, and the Horus cards just feel made for them because being able to dump the Orcus Nightmare is so important, as we're then going to be able to get ourselves a draw plus the King Sarcophagus. And keep in mind, I am using the fake traps and fake other cards for the milling that we'll be doing with Zombie Vampire, just so that I can show the Orcus stuff, as we're now going to use the Zombie Vampire. We'll mill 4, and now we can use the effect of the Orcus Nightmare, as we'll then be able to boost the attack of the Zombie Vampire, send the Heart Pourer, which you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Orcus monster from your deck, except Heart Pourer. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except Dark Monsters. You can only use this effect of Heart Pourer once per turn. So we'll continue here by using the effect of Heart Pourer, bringing out the Girsu. Use the effect of Girsu, which will give us the ability to send the Wand. Use the effect of Wand, which will bring back Heart Pourer, and then we can go into a rank 4 or a link 2. We're going to go into Galatea. Use the effect of Galatea, put back the Wand, as we'll then be able to get the Babel. Then we can go into our Dingirsu. We'll then be able to reattach the Orcus Nightmare for follow-up, as we'll then be able to also link away here into our IP Masquerena. And I know that ending on IP Masquerena alone looks really weird, but how you play Orcus is typically through your opponent's turn with your graveyard, as we can now get a couple of different ways to give you that extra body for the IP Masquerena. The first one is going to be use your Orcus Nightmare to get the symbol skeleton. Then at any point during your opponent's turn, you can use the skeleton to revive the Dingirsu, and then you'll have the option to either send a card from your opponent's field to the graveyard, or you can use its effect to reattach the symbol so that you can loop the revival effect along with being able to get back your Dingirsu or Galatea and stuff like that. So the other option here is to use your Heart Pourer and just get your extra body that way. And again, at any point during your opponent's turn, whether you go into SP Little Knight or whatever, the other option that you also have here is to go into your Galatea, use the effect of Galatea, put back the Heart Pourer, which is something that you can do even if the Heart Pourer is at 1, which makes it so that you don't even need multiple Heart Pourers like that, and you never really did even when this deck was at its peak. Usually it was played at a higher count than 1 just because it was a discard for Orcus Mermaid, or I'm sorry, Nightmare Mermaid, so that you can get your Orcus Nightmare that way, but we'll get ourselves the Crescendo and I'll get you on to the next one. Another card unleashed from the ban list is Infernity Archfiend, and with it at 3, I want to do a 3-card combo with a little bit of RNG, and by a little bit of RNG I mean a whole lot of bit of RNG, as you'll see momentarily. But we're going to normal summon the Armageddon Knight, use its effect sending the Necromancer, then we'll go into the Ancient Fairy Dragon with the Revolution Synchron and the Armageddon Knight, use the effect of the Ancient Fairy Dragon, special summoning out the Archfiend, use the effect of the Archfiend getting ourselves the Patriarch, as we'll then be able to use the effect of the Revolution Synchron, and this is where the RNG comes in. Second copy of Archfiend off of the Revolution Synchron, and this is really what I wanted to show. Since this is kind of a video showing off the new ban list stuff, I wanted to show a combo that showcases what happens when you get multiple Archfiends. So we're then going to be able to go into the Crystal Wing, protect our plays from here as we're going to special summon out the Patriarch, go into number 60, use its effect in order to revive a copy of Necromancer, as we'll then use the effect of Necromancer, bring back Archfiend, use the effect of Archfiend. Archfiend will then be able to give us the Return of the Reaper, as we'll then go into our Nightmare Phoenix. Keep in mind that if you do use this zone, you want to go into Nightmare Cerberus, depending on the order that you're doing your stuff. So if Crystal Wing is on this side, and the night monster that you summon is on this side, you summon Cerberus here. So we're then going to be able to bring back the Necromancer, use its effect for the Archfiend, then use the effect of the Archfiend in order to get ourselves the search for the Mirage. We can then go into Skulldread, use the effect of Skulldread to bring out the Mirage, use the effect of Skulldread to boost its attack, as we'll then be able to use the effect of Mirage, tributing it off to get back our Necromancer along with the Archfiend. And this is where that second Archfiend comes up, because now we have the ability to get that search, and then we can use the effect of the Necromancer as we set the launcher added off of the Infernity Archfiend so that we could do so. Bring back the second copy of Archfiend, get ourselves another search along with the attack boost, that will get ourselves the Infernity Break. We can then set the Infernity Break, go into Trigate, use the effect of the launcher as we're going to bring back the Necromancer along with the Infernity Archfiend. You want to be able to special summon the Necromancer in the middle here, as you're going to use the zone where Archfiend is at, or a pointer pointing to Trigate's left side. Now going to use the effect of the Archfiend to get ourselves another copy of Infernity Break, go into the SP Little Knight, we'll get the attack boost off of Skulldread, set the break, use the effect of the Infernity Archfiend or the Necromancer Necromancer to get back the Archfiend, use the effect of the Archfiend, get ourselves another copy of Infernity Break, and with this we can go into our Nightmare Cerberus, set the break, get that attack boost as we can then pass to our opponent on this. Now for the final of the 5 decks that I want to show, and I'll be doing 2 hands for this one in specific because there's a couple of different ways that you can play it, and it's Spellbooks. With 3 copies of Judgment, I just think that there's interesting things that can happen with this deck, especially when you consider that the Horus cards give you that extra board presence and grind game that this deck doesn't really have without them. So we're going to start here by special summoning out the Fenrir, and the Fenrir that you play here can also be Ash Blossom if you want to play it for crossout, but then we can also use the effect of the Horus stuff here, pitching the extra copy of the Fenrir, get ourselves the King Sarcophagus, then we'll activate the Spellbook of Judgment. As now we're going to activate the King Sarcophagus, we can then use the effect of King Sarcophagus, pitching the Spellbook of Power, sending the Happy, then bring back our 2 level 8s as we're going to go into our Photon Lord, normal summon the Blue Boy as we'll then be able to use its effect for the Spellbook of Power, or the Spellbook of Secrets, and activate the Spellbook of Secrets. This will give us the ability to add the Spellbook of Knowledge. We'll then be able to draw 2 here, as whatever you draw will dictate how you play your turn, but in this case we get Enemy Controller and Droll, which is pretty nice. We'll then pass to our opponent on this. During the end phase, you can use the effect of Judgment, getting your 3 Spellbook cards as we activated 3 spells, and then you can special summon out your Jogan as well. So you get follow-up. Being able to add the Fate as a form of removal for your next turn is also really nice. You also get the ability to potentially draw into disruptions for your opponent's turn off of the Spellbook of Knowledge and your Horus draw and stuff like that. So really cool things that you can do here. Now the second option, and this shows kind of like a weak hand, and you'll see why, as we're going to special summon out the Fenrir. At this point we can add ourselves another copy of it. We'll then activate the Spellbook of Judgment, as we'll then be able to activate the King Sarcophagus. We'll then pitch 2 cards here. So this is where it can be pretty weak, as we're actually going to pitch all 3, where we're just going to go into our Coach King. So this is very fragile, as we're then going to be able to bring back all 3 Horus cards, and this will give us the ability to get a draw 3. So we're going to draw those cards off of the Coach King, get ourselves a crossout, get ourselves a Spellbook of Secrets, and then get ourselves a copy of Spellbook of Fate, as we'll then be able to activate the Secrets, get ourselves the Blue Boy, normal summon the copy of Blue Boy, use its effect in order to get the Spellbook of Master, use the effect of the Spellbook of Master, copy the effect of Secrets while we reveal the Spellbook of Fate so that we can get the Spellbook of Knowledge, activate the Spellbook of Knowledge, get ourselves a couple draws, as we do get access into the Horus engine, which is pretty nice. We'll get ourselves the King Sarcophagus, draw 1 as we get a Droll, as we'll then go into the end phase, where we will get the additions off of Judgment, as we get 4 searches here, special summon out the Jogan, and this is where you can see that uninterrupted, this deck can still be pretty crazy. Now there is one honorary mention, and we're going to start here with the Horus cards, as we're going to use the effect of the Imseti in order to pitch the other copy of Imseti, get ourselves the King Sarcophagus, as we're going to draw 1. You'll see that we're going to get the Mayakashi Trap as a draw, which isn't terrible because we can just pitch it off the King Sarcophagus, and then we can send ourselves the Happy, as we'll then go into our Zombie Vampire off of our 2 Horus cards. And now we're going to reveal what we are on, as you see some zombies off of the Zombie Vampire. Use the effect of the Unizombie, as we'll then be able to send ourselves a copy of the Vampire Familiar. And yes, the honorable mention is Vampires, and I just think that this is such a cool deck to play. Even if it isn't the highest tier of decks, it just has so many cool interactions that you can play around with your opponent. It also has the 3 extra field spells coming in Photon Hypernova, or in Phantom Nightmare, as we can now use the effect of the Mizuki, bring back the Familiar, use the effect of the Familiar. This will give us the ability to add the Vampire Ghost to our hand. We'll normal summon the Ghost, use its effect, sending the Vampire Zombie to our graveyard, send the Retainer, add ourselves the Scourge. We'll then be able to use the Retainer, sending the Familiar. We'll then get ourselves the addition of a Vampire Spell Trap, as we get ourselves the Desire, use the effect of the Desire, targeting the Vampire Ghost. We'll send the Grace. From here we can then go into our Baron. We'll then be able to use the effect of the Ghost for that extra normal summon. We'll tribute off the Retainer so that we can normal summon or tribute summon the Scourge. Use the effect of Scourge to bring back the Grace, and now we can go into our Vampire Sucker. Use the effect of the Mizuki, bringing back the Scourge. This will give us a draw 1, along with the effect of Grace in the graveyard so that it can revive itself, and giving us rank 6 access, so that's pretty nice as well, as we're then going to use Beatrice effect in order to send ourselves the transaction rollback. Use the effect of the Vampire Zombie, or the Vampire Sucker, so that we can revive a monster that we send off of the zombie vampire onto our opponent's field. Then you can use the effect of the Baron so that you can play around the Evenly this way or Lightning Storm or whatever. And then you can set 2 cards here, pass on that, and still have the Beatrice send for Keldo or Mudora that you can also use to disrupt your opponent's graveyard if they banished anything or if they sent anything good off of the zombie vampire. The really cool thing about this though is that because we have the transaction rollback in the graveyard, we can copy the effect of the Ghost Meets Girl, which will be able to lock our opponent out of special summoning from the hand deck or extra deck. I would also like to point out that you can also use its graveyard effect after you copy it so that you can get back a zombie into the graveyard like the Mizuki that you see in the banish zone. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 600 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support. Now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a channel membership, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a whole lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.